Hey guys, it's Alex, the guy that talks at you every week. This time I'm joined by my co-host Greg over here.
Sup, guys?
Where I normally sit here and talk by myself all the time, I've brought in another irrational passioneer.
Yeah.
That's how I like to say.
Passioneer?
To talk
Is that a reference to my hat?
No, but you are wearing a pirate hat. That is
am.
a fact of life. He has to use it. He spent $17 on it, so he has to use it for something. I normally talk by myself, but this time I got Greg here. So, Greg, what are we going to talk about this month?
We are going
Day?
Day, month,
This
year,
month.
this month. It's a show.
It's a show.
Mr. Net. Anyways, I decided that we should talk about music and games.
You decided. Alex talks, Greg talks all over this bit.
Well, we kind of both decided, but...
Yeah, no, you brought up... We talked about it last time. We spent some time together, when we were making sweet love to one another.
Oh, yeah. Bottom bitch.
Fuck you. And yeah, video games have pretty dope music.
They do. And I don't think they get enough attention in the news.
The news?
Video game news in general.
Well, when you're covering video games...
You're not covering...
As far as news goes, there's no place for music.
No,
it's not that they don't get enough attention,
Yeah.
It's just the news is Austin Wintory's doing the Monaco soundtrack. That's the news.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then they just never bring up the soundtrack ever again.
Yeah.
That soundtrack's awesome.
Yeah,
BT
it's actually pretty good.
It's real good. That Leisure Suit Larry soundtrack, the Reloaded by Austin Wintory, fucking, that's real good too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so what games in particular did you have in mind?
Well, there's been tons of games throughout the years.
Really?
I mean,
there have been many video games?
Let's be real, people.
What?
There's been tons and tons of games.
Maybe one or two video games.
No, just one or two. But
is that Pong and the Marios?
No, it's Pong. So the music was boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, really dope beats. Turn that into a dubstep track, Skrillex.
For instance, in the modern gen of gaming, we have games like Skyrim, Dragon's Dogma, Dark Souls, Journey. Spelunky.
You just stop at Spelunky.
No, Spelunky.
It doesn't get better from there.
Well, no. Then you also have Hotline Miami. You have
Hotline Miami's real dope.
Yeah, the music in that game's really good. You can keep going on and on. Even older games like the Medal of Honor Frontline had great music.
Would you say the original Devil May Cry games?
The original Devil May Cry games. Even the new Devil May Cry game.
Same pattern here. Which is games you like?
Well, there's games that you like too in here. Jeez.
What's your favorite kind of music in a game? Are you big on the orchestra? So you and I are both fans of the Zeldas and the
Zelda as well.
Skyrim's got the orchestrated music. Journey, obviously, the orchestra, and that is fantastic.
I do like that a lot, but I also like music that catches my attention. For instance, the newest Devil May Cry uses a lot of the Combine Christ.
A lot of metal.
Yeah, a lot of metal in it, but it works very well for what they're trying to do, along with the techno-ish stuff that they also do. Which oh my god, that techno level in Devil May Cry is fucking insane. Yeah, it's great.
If you haven't played DMC Devil May Cry, you should play it. I was gonna say, Devil May Cry is an interesting example because I don't like that music out of the context of Devil May Cry. I don't like screaming music, metal, for the most part. I'm just not a fan. But when I was playing Devil May Cry, fuck, man.
Yeah, that music gets you pumped, right?
If I did not get pumped up, then I was doing something wrong. It was just yeah, kill stuff! And it's just
chain whip everything.
It's just crazy combos. Contextually, it really added to the experience. Which is, it's weird, because I really do not like that kind of music. It is exact opposite, but I enjoyed it in this really weird context.
Because it works.
It does work.
It changes the dynamic of what you think about music in games.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that I really like about how that gaming and music, and again, why I think it doesn't get covered as much. Because, those songs really change the dynamic of fighting in that game. Instead of playing a techno beat or an orchestral setup for that, like they did maybe more in DMC4. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of orchestral stuff, which worked great in that game too. Yeah. But the newest one, to edge it up and make it more modern and give it this more badass feel,
and gave this kind of young vibe.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah,
yeah it definitely works for what they're doing. But then if we go to a game like Journey uses 100% all orchestral
the orchestra
scores.
The orchestra is, like, in my review, which I talked about this in a recent Alex Talks that I did. I don't know if it's up by the time this is up. Where I talk about, length and experience. The experience of Journey, to me, was a lot like the experience of Fantasia.
Yeah.
And in my review, I said Journey is the Fantasia of video games because...
For Fantasia coming out soon.
Fantasia. Music evolved. And I said that because what you were seeing was so completely tied to what you were hearing. It was like, on Fantasia, like when there were movements, like in the characters on screen, there was sound in the music to, adjust to that and to react to that. Mm-hmm. And nothing happened without you also hearing it. In Journey, I think it's exactly the same, and where it felt like everything I was doing, I was hearing, and everything I was hearing was a true manifestation of what I was seeing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you're sliding down the hill. Everyone makes this example. You're sliding down the hill, and it's very upbeat, and then when you fall down into the pit, where the machines are, and the music slowly drips, and then there's just this quiet beat over and over again, kind of like this tepid beat that goes with this tepid movement through these dark caves. And then like the really depressing music when you're going up the snowy hill, and then the complete lack of music, and then this silence, and then it's just
it's an example of how music is very powerful in games, and if used in the right way, can define a game.
Yeah, like Journey without that soundtrack would not be Journey.
Yeah, no, it would just be...
It would be an okay platformer.
Yeah. That's
beautiful, but with the music, it's an experience. It's something more.
And then if you transfer to, say, like Skyrim is a 4-disc, actually, I think 5-disc soundtrack. Yeah. 4 discs of just the normal scores from the game, and then the 5th soundtrack being all the ambiance music. So, like, all the times where, like, you hear, like, bugs and animals chirping. And
I should just put that on loop in my bedroom and freak people out. Just be like... wow. It's like sealed cricket.
I don't know what I was trying to do there. But, like, Skyrim uses, 10 different songs when you're walking through the forests or whatever. Like, when you get into different areas, for instance, when you're walking from Whiterun to Falkreath, I mean, the music stays constant, but it's constantly changing depending on what you're doing. So, let's say you're just walking, next time you're fighting an enemy, that music changed to a more intense beat. Like, that's what a game's supposed to do, but it defines that moment in gaming. And and it shows that this music could be continuous all the way through, and then I could fight this enemy, and then, nothing happened. I mean, for instance, like, when you're fighting a dragon, there's 3 songs that can be played. It's the Dragonborn theme, which you hear at the beginning of the game. In the title screen. And then there's 2 other ones that are just the general fighting music. And, I mean... I'm pretty sure everybody just loves hearing the Dragonborn theme as they're fighting a dragon.
It's just fucking Fus Roda in the background. You're just like, I'm fully erect.
Yeah. Right now. And I mean, the game uses just fantastic scores throughout.
Yeah, and what you were saying of just like it stacks music on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like if you're going through a specific woods and it's playing that woods corresponding score. But you're also in combat, it'll stack the combat music on top of that original score, but, it does it in a way that's not intrusive.
Yeah.
It doesn't make either one worse, it makes both of them into something new that's better. Which is really difficult and really clever.
And I think over the years it's evolved, especially since, like, Morrowind, for example, where Morrowind didn't really have many scores. It kind of was the same music because it was limited back then.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Yeah, and I know I'm giving a lot of Elder Scrolls examples right now.
It's one of your favorite series.
It is. I really enjoy the music in this game. But to transfer to something else like Dragon's Dogma, which is a more recent game as well.
Dragon's Dogma music's real weird.
It's really weird, but it works, and that's what makes it very interesting. Dragon's Dogma, like...
You're listening to, like, this opera singer at 1 minute, and then it's just, like, hardcore metal guitar the other minute.
It's
what's happening? I don't understand.
It's fairly weird. And what works for Dragon's Dogma is that, like, they'll have one song that's played when you're walking around outside, but then, like, you go into Grancis, and they'll play the Grancis theme. Mm-hmm. And, like, when you're fighting enemies, they'll have a theme for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that game is divided very much into themes for different things that are happening.
Yeah.
So you
like most open world games.
Yeah. So unlike Skyrim, it just picks and chooses songs to play during that time. It doesn't overlap songs necessarily. So, like, when you go in a cave, they have a cave song. When you're outside, they have but that's like Capcom's thing. I mean, they do that for a lot of their games.
And I'm pulling some different examples. One, Syndicate.
Okay, I haven't played Syndicate yet.
I mean, I played enough of Syndicate. I gotten a good taste of the music.
Very dub.
Very dub. It's very techno, but like. The idea of Syndicate is so future, like it's a future thing. So Syndicate's like futuristic music, or not futuristic.
Dubstep music.
There will not be dubstep in the future, at least I hope.
Just continuous dubstep forever.
Dubstep until 3026, like it says in Elysium. It's really fast-paced music that we associate with high-tech, high-speed technology now. There's a lot of bass to kind of like illustrate the combat as well. Mm-hmm. Another one I wanted to touch on, which you brought up earlier, mentioned earlier, Spelunky.
Spelunky, yeah.
Spelunky is like, it's magical because it captures kind of like this chiptune style of like the Genesis,
like the 80s style music. Right.
The 80s, early 90s, yeah. Of the Genesis and the SNES, it captures that kind of chippy style and the 8-bit style, but it also transcends it into modern sounds and modern music and things you couldn't do on those platforms because we actually have like sound cards instead of like an 8-bit chip. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Like almost all the songs are really simple. They're like 50 seconds to a minute and 30 seconds long, and they're just on loop.
Yeah.
And it's just like really simple stuff that sounds old but is new.
And that new generation of music really helps to define these indie games. For example, Fez.
Yeah, Disaster Piece did Fez's soundtrack. Holy shit.
And Fez's soundtrack is very chiptune-y. But
it's also, it sounds kind of like, you know, orchestral music that kind of distorts.
Yeah.
And distorts in and out of orchestra and sound and ambiance. It's really clever.
Yeah.
And Disaster Piece does a lot of that, which is really cool.
But again, it's music that defines a generation of gaming. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I mean, almost every, like for the SNES, it was Mario that defined the music. For
Mario and Zelda, yeah.
Mario and Zelda. And then for like Sega, it was Sonic. Mm-hmm. And then you have, and
then once you get into the PlayStation generation, it's Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy, and then PS2, you have maybe like Kingdom Hearts.
I mean,
you could say
that's you know, getting into subjective. I would say the Kingdom Hearts music is definitely up there for me. But like PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy music is still,
it's good.
That holds a lot of emotional resonance for me. And like for like SNES to go back, that even there is like Metroid, Super Metroid.
Metroid
Super
as
Metroid
well.
Is fucking, that music is so dope.
Yeah,
like real dope. You don't understand. It's the illest.
Illest of all ills.
The illest, as some kids these days might say.
But yeah, even for PS2, I think personally, Medal of Honor Frontline. Mm-hmm. That music, especially the people that did the orchestral opera type setup for the opening of that game, and all the just the little events that happen throughout that game that really define how much of a great first-person shooter that Medal of Honor was.
It's supported by good music.
Yeah, it's supported by a great orchestral setup that makes the combat fun. For example, there's a point in the game where after you sneak onto the U2 sub, you're at port, and there's this very kind of like eerie, rainy type setup where you feel like you're infiltrating something. Yeah, it doesn't feel very disconnected, and it works, and I like that.
Yeah.
And I like at the very last mission of that game, where you're chasing down the guy, it's very intense, and you're trying to get through these enemies, and they're shooting back, and you feel this. And I feel like in first-person shooters, personally, with the new Call of Duties that have come out, that you really lose that emotional connect in games.
Yeah.
For instance, I'll say Medal of Honor, or not Medal of Honor, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. The biggest selling point was not the music. Like, they had Eminem do Till I Collapse for the commercials of that, and that's what sold that game. Like,
yeah,
besides it also being Call of Duty, it was that push that, oh, this is jazzing me up and making me want to buy that game.
Yeah.
But you really didn't feel that music in there. You felt more like, I'm going to follow this story and just kill these enemies and move on.
Like, that's using, like, licensed music.
Yeah.
Which, like, there's a time and a place for licensed music. Saints Row has very much
Saints Row is a great example of using licensed music
the
multiple...
where you jump out of a helicopter and fucking Stronger by Kanye West is playing.
Or even the moment where you're driving in a car and you're playing Reprise from Sublime.
Yeah, it's just like... Those moments are so insane. It's insane that they happen the way they do and as smoothly as they do.
And that's an example, again, of using appropriate music in times of games.
Appropriate licensed music can be incredible.
Yeah.
I think. And apparently there is something like that in Saints Row the 4th as well.
I'm really looking forward to playing that.
I wanted to bring up a couple things. First, the first one being music and horror games.
Music and horror games for like Amnesia.
Amnesia has one of the most eerie soundtracks.
The Darkness.
That's not a horror game.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
Games that are supposed to be scary.
Amnesia, Dead Space.
I mean, yeah, Dead Space. Yeah, Dead Space is a really good soundtrack.
What else is there?
I wanted to focus on Amnesia. It's just like
Amnesia.
It creating ambiance in a world that's supposed to scare the player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, being scared in video games is not an easy thing to pull off. A lot of people think, oh, just, do something scary, jump scares, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's the easy way out. But you want the player to feel like they're there and to feel like they are vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Which, that's not an easy thing to pull off. Amnesia fucking does it, and the music sucks you in because most of it is just a lot of slow, cello and string instruments, that kind of like pull long, drawn out notes. And that just it feels like it's drawing you in with those notes.
And then when it finally picks up, it's just like bum, 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 bum,
and then it's
bum.
fucking, it's high pace and you're running from scary shit and you're pooping your pants.
Out of curiosity, when we were at PAX, you got to play that PS4 demo for Daylight.
See, and this is...
And I didn't get to hear the music because you were playing.
This is the opposite spectrum. No music. Just sound. Just ambiance. And that can also be absolutely fucking horrifying. And Daylight, man, I'm really looking forward to that, but holy shit.
That game
looks terrifying.
Well, how about Dead Space? I mean, I've played a little bit of Dead Space at Scott's. And
Dead Space is a lot of...
Is it more just jump scare type?
I mean, it is jump scare. There are like those moments where it like rips, like a record scratch moment where it kind of like rips through the music. But it's a lot of... ambiance music is kind of the best friend to horror games or suspense thrillers or something like that because, you have these kind of long notes just kind of drawing in the background and then you can cut through those notes and cut them off and that will scare the player.
Would you give the early Resident Evil
I'm not too experienced in the earlier ones. I mean, like Resident Evil 4... It's the only one I've played the most of.
Yeah, same with me.
And 5, and like the music was kind of forgettable.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, I do remember a little bit of that, but you focused so much more on the combat and the story that you didn't really care about the music. And again, that just shows that they're going for a story-based game.
Yeah, and I want to also, 2 artists, Jim Guthrie, and he's known for doing the Indie Game, the movie soundtrack.
Which is a great movie, you guys should watch that.
Which is a good movie. Soundtrack, incredible. He also did the Sword and Sorcery soundtrack. Also, absolutely phenomenal. Jim Guthrie is one of my favorite indie musicians, I should say, or composers. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic, and of course, Austin Wintory.
Yes.
Austin Wintory is going places.
Yeah. Another example of great music in games, I think, is Portal. Portal does a great job of bringing those exciting parts, especially when like you shoot a portal at the wall, and then you shoot a portal on the ground, and then you jump through, and it jets you. You get that big boom as you go through.
The sound effects in Portal are really clever.
Yeah, that and the music in that works very well, especially the ending songs. They're great when Gladys sings. It's the best thing.
And also like some of like the weird kind of like off, just beats like sound like techno noises, sound like machines working, and just like the ambient music. It sounds like ambient sounds, but comes together as music.
Yeah.
And of course, the clever use of licensed music in Portal is really good.
And I think the biggest thing that we should hit on, Bastion.
Oh, fuck Bastion.
Yeah.
Bastion is...
I personally haven't played it, but I've heard a lot of the music from Alex, who plays it in his car a lot.
Bastion is just like... It takes this idea of like Eastern string instruments. Mm-hmm. And just, it takes that theme and then it uses it again and again with incredible use of vocals. I think using vocals in video game music is like, it's not a taboo thing, but it's something that people are
afraid to
trepidatious about. They approach it with caution because
it might take over the game.
Well, it might take over the game and you can fuck it up really easily.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody
Bastion does it very
West, well, right? I think Bastion does it perfectly. Okay. Like because those characters have those voices of those singers. Mm-hmm. And that it changes. It's different. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Bastion is great. But there's music in these video games. I'll tell you what. Video game music. It's pretty good. What do you guys think? What's your favorite video game soundtracks? Have we covered it? Let us know in the comments below, or you can tweet us. Of course, I'm AlFighter27. Greg is Gregory Blaney. If you like this video, then you should click the like button, because then I'll actually know if you like it, and you won't be lying to me. Then tell all your friends, share it with everyone you know you've ever met, all of your high school dropout friends, and all of the monsters that you've met in college. And please subscribe, because subscribing means you're going to get more of it, and then I'll make you watch it, and then I'll make you like it, because I'll say it in every video until I'm dead. I hope you like this. It's been fun, Greg. If you like Greg, let me know. I'll have him on again. Could be fun. Yeah, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. That's what's going to help us out the most. And I'll be back every Tuesday and Friday with more talking of the Alex variety. So until then, peace, guys. Why do I play video games? Well, for moments like that, where I feel like I learned something about myself when I play a game. And that is exactly what happened with those two characters, with those two games. And fucking irreplaceable.